Hello and welcome to StarCraft2Forum.org Mega PC Tournament, sponsored by NVIDIA, Antec, Razer, Patriot Memory, and Shocks. StarCraft 2 Guide.
Yeah, and we are down to Game 3 with Doublespeak and Lazee. So we had the Terran player Doublespeak winning the first one, Lazee winning the second round, and we're into round 3 on New Antioch.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this map.
Yeah. I guess we'll learn as we go, because this is a new map that came out with StarCraft 2. It was not in the beta. So we can learn together. Now, Doublespeak in the top section of the map, and Lazee, the Protoss player, at the left section.
Right. It looks like there's a top, right, bottom, and left expansion, much like on Lost Temple. It looks a lot to me like Lost Temple, but only if Lost Temple had secret passages in the back connecting all of the main bases.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it looks like to me.
Sure.
Okay, well, that's what we're going with. Lost Temple with secret passages.
All right.
Okay.
So, Lazee has been going for very similar builds for all these games, but it was really great move last game with having that proxy Stargate. We really thought he had just forgotten about it, but really his plan the whole time, I guess, was to use it as a way of making sure the moment the Terran player moved out to going in and wrecking his undefended main base.
And that was a wonderful adaptation to what he learned about his opponent's playstyle in Game 1, which was that very early aggressive push with Marines and Marauders that Doublespeak seems to have done in both games. So let's see if Doublespeak can adapt and do something different, or if Lazee tries to do the same sort of Void Ray build that he did the first 2 games.
Now, with that kind of Void Ray build that he did that game, would you have any recommendation of a counter for Doublespeak to maybe be building for this game? I
mean, I don't want to get too much into the theoretical aspect of it. I'm more interested in seeing what Doublespeak decides to do. But, I mean, Marines are always a good choice against Void Rays as well as Vikings, and putting the Marines in a bunker and building some missile turrets is also a strong choice. I would like to see a game where both of the players focus on getting an expansion up and running and a more macro-oriented, longer, economy-based game.
Yeah, both players have been doing their main pushes off of one base for all these 3 games, with expansions only coming up very late and really barely coming into play.
Right, essentially superfluous.
Ooh, that's a nice word.
Yeah, it's a sexy word, right? Just say it's superfluous. It sounds like a woman.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, these players don't like to get their scouting worker harassed because they both seem to be very willing to retreat once their scouting worker is
They're very loyal
harassed.
to their workers.
Yeah.
They do not let anyone screw with them.
Right.
So, choke being complete
The
for
wall
Doublespeak.
Yep, absolutely. Did Lazee get any scouting information in at all? Did he get his probe in there or no? Not.
He got it very early. Very early.
He was able to get in and look around?
He only saw pretty much nothing. He saw the first supply depot, I believe.
Yeah, it's always a catch-22 as Protoss or any race scouting against Terran. Because, really, you can try to get in early, but really, what do you see? Or you can try to get in later, and you get blocked by the wall.
Well, a lot of times what a player will do, and what I find to be useful, is you go in for an early scout on a big map, just to know where they are, so you're not wasting time searching around later. And then around like the 20 to 25, I try to stick to the 20, send like a disposable unit up the ramp. Yeah. Just try to get a peek, because a lot of times you'll be able to see this far. You'll see that second barracks coming up. You won't see that third, but you'll get a little idea, especially when you see the units that kill you off.
Right.
Just to get a better idea of what he's going for.
Oh, wow, and Chronobu's going down on Warp Gate on the Cybernetic Score and on the Stalker in the Gateway. It looks like he's really focused on getting Warp Gate finished early, possibly planning for some sort of Warp Prism proxy warp-in push mid-game. We'll have to wait and see about that. And the Terran player getting a tech lab for Marauders and 2 reactors. Looks like he's once again favoring that Marine Marauder heavy build with a strong mid-game-ish push.
We're going for an engineering bay because he looks like he's going to be really dedicating to, unless he's just going for missile turrets in case.
Actually, that might be a cool adaptation by the Terran player, adding that engineering bay in order to get missile turrets in his base to defend against the potential Void Ray push that he's seen both games so far.
We do see Twilight Council coming down for some kind of upgrade for either the Blink for the Stalker or Speed for the Zealots.
Yeah, I'd wager on it either being for speed or to power or to allow the attack into the Templar Archives later, because the Templar were so effective for Lazee last game at killing that chunk of Marines.
Yeah, just that one storm took everything down so quickly. And we do have a third gateway going down, so we are going for a heavy ground-based push, probably within the next 10 to 12 food supply.
So both players essentially building up right now, neither of them focusing on trying to get an expansion or pushing as of yet. Playing a little bit more defensively than they did in either of the two previous games. The Terran player, in fact, using that engineering ability to get a missile turret in his mineral line in order to defend against a Void Ray harass. But, to his very surprise, the Protoss not getting a starport this game.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the mind game of StarCraft. That's why I love when we have, when you're seeing a best of 3 or a best of 5, of watching how the players become terrified of what they lost to in the last game, and how they sometimes just overcompensate for that.
Right. And as noted earlier, the Protoss Lazee is getting a Templar Archives, but that SCV was able to see it, and so the Terran will know that he has a Templar Archives if he clicked on it, because if you don't click on the warping and building, you don't get to see what it is.
Exactly.
So we'll see how quick Doublespeak was with his scout. And it looks like he's getting a Ghost Academy. I'm imagining he did see the Templar Archives, because the Ghosts are the perfect counter to the Templar. Their EMP ability draining all of the energy from the Templar and preventing that Psystorm from happening.
While at the same time draining the Sentries as well to
right.
push down their Force Field and Guardian Shields.
And at the same time, taking away 100 shields from every Protoss unit, so it's a very strong ability against the Protoss.
That's always the favorite part. It'd be cool if people had shields like that.
Looks like Chrono Boost is being used on the...
Everything.
On everything. I don't know why it's being used on the Psy-Core. That looks like possibly a misclick.
Yeah,
but it is also being used... It is still being used on the Twilight Council to speed up production of leg speed.
And so now the Terran just double checking, laying a scan down to make sure he didn't miss anything.
Very
that
smart play by the Terran. Very smart. Both players seem pensive about possibly expanding it. There seems to be a lot of tension on the map right now, because both players seem to be aware that the other is preparing a large army and don't want to make themselves vulnerable by expanding.
Exactly.
Psystorm now getting researched, and the Terran building up his infantry and hopefully adding ghosts soon.
He has one ghost in.
He has one ghost added. Those guys are so hard to see.
I know. You can never tell them apart from Marines. That's my one big complaint still about this game is every other unit you can see blatantly, but that you cannot. So, yeah, both players, again, seeming nervous because, again, this is Game 3. Whoever wins this goes on to Round 5, the semifinals.
Absolutely.
Or the quarterfinals. What is that? Round 5 is...
Quarterfinals, semifinals, some sort of finals.
It goes on to one of the final rounds.
One of the final rounds. And now, the only problem that I know Lazee will run into is it's very difficult to get a large, sizable army of High Templar off of one base. They're just so gas-intensive of a unit to warp in. I'm just wondering if he is going to be able to afford enough High Templar to deal with both getting EMP'd and still being able to Psystorm the Terran army.
So we do see the Terran pushing out now. He has one ghost in his midst. He's going to have to micro that perfectly to get the perfect EMP down if he really wants to get the advantage in this coming battle.
Right.
Taking that Xel'Naga, just making sure that nothing is pushing out. He's not missing anything coming into his base while he pushes into his opponents.
And food count staying pretty even. 72 for the Terran to 68 for the Protoss. Terran slightly ahead, but Protoss keeping up with him.
But we don't see any High Templar out on the map just yet.
No, I think he looked as though he was waiting for Psystorm and the Khadarian Amulet to finish. That may be a mistake. You do want... It's tempting to wait for the Khadarian Amulet to finish so that your High Templar will warp in with enough energy for a storm, but that upgrade does take so long to build. I'm worried that the Protoss won't have enough time to finish it before warping in his High Templar.
So a little bit of a standoff here between these two troops. None is aware of the other just yet.
Yeah, both players putting all of their resources into their armies at this point, and not really concentrating at all on expanding.
And okay, I thought we were about to see an engagement, but we are not just yet.
They are really close to each other. The Protoss player is actually adding a Dark Shrine now, possibly hoping to leverage some. Oh, and that's going to be a poor choice of expansion timing, because he's going to run his poor little probe right into the heart of the Terran army.
But he has not seen the Terran army just yet. Now he does. He's probably going to cancel that Nexus right off the bat, or not.
There we go.
There we go with the cancel. Very good move, because you don't want to lose that 400 minerals for no reason.
And now we have two armies meeting. Or not.
Nope,
not
yet.
meeting.
And still no High Templars out on the map.
And the Protoss using that high grass to hide half of his army. That might come into play. The army counts are catching up now. It looks like those mortars are going to take that sentry down. And it looks like we're at about 82 to 81 food, because it was very, very evening out very, very much. With still no High Templar, however, for the Protoss.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he was going for with that. So Terran army pulling back a little bit into the high grass. Expansion going down for Doublespeak. So using this moment of having the Protoss player held at bay to his advantage, trying to get the expansion down to get the economic edge after this battle. It's always good to think ahead in that way of what am I going to do after I'm done with this battle.
And now it looks like the Terran army is moving in towards the ramp of the Protoss main base. And a force field getting put down, enough to block the infantry army of the Terran, and now the Protoss force moving in, and all those Zealots getting into range of melee. That's perfect for them. They really want to be right there. But the Marines are being guarded, and the Marines are going to be doing so much damage. This is going to be such a close fight. It's hard to tell who's going to come ahead. The food counts are staying pretty even right now. A medevac coming in. It should come and try to heal its Terran allies, and now a High Templar coming down with a Psystorm, and that's going to seal the deal. There's no way that the Terran is going to come ahead in this battle now. Very strong lead showing now for the Protoss.
Now that was like the perfect timing. High Templar,
right? And is the Protoss army going to follow through and move in towards the expansion of the Terran, or is he going to wait and allow that expansion to get put up?
He needs to move, in my opinion, he needs to move right now before this expansion gets established, before we have a planetary fortress being built. Those are hard to break no matter what. But it looks like it might not be finished in time as this Protoss force comes in, but only 4 Marauders and a couple Marines to hold this force off. Is this planetary fortress going to finish in time? I don't think so.
No, this Protoss has a firm lead here, and his army is going to vastly over, and Guardian Shield going down, adding to the armor of the units within that blue bubble. But then the sentry snipe. This is such a back and forth game. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen at any point. And now the Protoss pulling back away from that planetary fortress, which actually was in fact able to finish, and pulling into the main base of the Terran. I don't know what he's going to be able to do here. Possibly, I would go straight for the SCV line and try to kill as many workers as possible.
Trying to take down this tech lab to stop those Marauders from coming out, but he does need to hurt this economy quickly. Not exactly sure what he's doing.
No, a lot of times players succumb to the temptation to target unit-producing buildings, but you really want to target the workers. That's the most important link in your enemy's army.
Alright, and the GG from Doublespeak.
GG to the overwhelming Protoss forces in his base.
Alright, so Lazee is moving on to the next round.
Wow, what an awesome match.
Yeah. Alright, well, let's move on to another game in round 4.
GG.
GG.